What if I told you that one of the most technologically dominant military campaigns in modern history still couldn't fully control its opponent? And what if the real lesson isn't about who won, but about how warfare itself is changing in ways that affect global markets and your everyday life? Today we're breaking down the biggest lessons from the Iran conflict, lessons that governments, businesses and investors cannot afford to ignore. Because this isn't just about war anymore, it's about the future of power. With the ceasefire in Iran, we can identify critical defense takeaways. These aren't abstract military theories. They have real implications for global security, energy markets, supply chains, and corporate risk. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 major lessons from the conflict and what they actually mean going forward. Let's start with the most important shift: asymmetric warfare. The first lesson is simple but incredibly important. Asymmetric warfare works. By traditional metrics, the US-Israeli military campaign was overwhelmingly successful. In less than 2 months, nearly 30,000 airstrikes were conducted. Key missile and drone facilities were destroyed. Naval assets were neutralized. Command and control systems were disrupted. On paper, that's total dominance. But here's the problem. That dominance didn't translate into control. Iran responded using asymmetric tactics, methods designed not to match strength, but to bypass it. Instead of conventional retaliation, Iran deployed low-cost drones. They targeted regional economic assets and, most importantly, disrupted global choke points like the Strait of Hormuz. This is the key shift. You no longer need military superiority to impose global economic consequences. We've seen this pattern before. In Ukraine, a smaller force has consistently disrupted a larger one using precision strikes and unmanned systems. This is no longer insurgent behavior. This is state-level strategy. And going forward, asymmetric warfare will be the norm. The second major takeaway is even more concerning. Targeting civilian infrastructure is now standard practice. Recent strikes have hit energy infrastructure, desalination plants, hospitals, universities, residential areas and data centers. And this wasn't accidental. These were deliberate targets because modern economies are interconnected systems. If you disrupt energy, you hit industry. If you hit water, you hit population stability. If you strike data, you hit finance. Infrastructure is now the battlefield. The consequences extend far beyond the conflict zone. The Gulf states have seen their safe haven status shaken. There is no clean separation between military and economic warfare anymore. This erosion of warfighting norms is accelerating. Future conflicts will be broader, harder to contain, and significantly more destructive economically. The third lesson challenges a core assumption: air power has limits. Despite total air dominance, key strategic objectives were not achieved. Regime change did not occur. Iran continued offensive operations, and critical disruptions to global oil supply still happened. Iran was still able to launch sustained missile and drone attacks. So what does this tell us? Air superiority alone is not decisive, but there's another layer. Iran adapted by shifting beyond traditional airspace into space. Reports indicate acquisition of satellite capabilities and access to foreign ground control. This allowed Iran to maintain situational awareness. Space is no longer a support domain, it's an operational domain. It raises a question: do you need your own sovereign space capabilities? The fourth lesson is less visible, but arguably the most important. Decision-making matters more than ever. Reports suggest early assumptions were overly optimistic. Flawed assumptions lead to flawed outcomes. Effective decision-making requires active challenge of assumptions and consideration of second and third-order effects. Whether you're in a boardroom or a war room, process determines outcome. So what does all of this mean in practical terms? Here are 5 implications. 1. Conflict spillover risk is rising. 2. Companies are now direct targets. 3. Supply chains are more vulnerable. 4. Military innovation is accelerating in drones and space. 5. Decision-making quality is a competitive advantage. The Iran conflict isn't just another geopolitical event. It's a signal that warfare is evolving and that the line between military and civilian impact is disappearing. The question isn't whether these changes will affect you, it's how prepared you are when they do. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more analysis. Understanding these shifts early isn't just informative, it's an advantage.